This is my Microsoft Azure Week 1 vlog, where I'm going to go over all that I've done this week and Microsoft Azure pretty much. So it pretty much just starts off with going over some of the basics, just the basic things so you know what you're going to get into. There's some of the AZ-900 exam stuff and like how it breaks it up and everything. And at the end it shows a bunch of prerequisites that you need and just all that kind of stuff. There's videos that go through it. There's some of those I'd say probably in every section that you go through. So the first part's pretty much just kind of like selling Microsoft Azure to you, like what are the benefits of it and everything like that. Goes through everything, yeah, so pretty much just goes everything that it offers and all that kind of stuff through the first part. Then, of course, some basic terms that you'll need to know going forward, some services that they offer, that kind of stuff. It breaks up how the accounts work, how it starts out as an Azure account, and breaks down subscriptions, resource scripts, and then the resources. You progressively work for this fake company called Tailwind Traders, and you do a bunch of different stuff for them. They're just a group that sells a bunch of different stuff. The first thing I've done with it so far is set up an SQL database, and then I just lists all the different stuff that they sell and all that kind of stuff, just kind of their data. Yeah, then at the end there's a knowledge check where it just goes over everything that you've done so far. And then there's like little XP things, and you get like little achievement things as you go through them. It's like you get trophies for finishing a section and your badges for finishing things within those sections. So yeah, so just more basic stuff again in this one. Then it breaks down cloud storage, because it's pretty much what Microsoft Azure is. It's just kind of like a cloud for you to use, and it breaks down how you can do everything within it. So there's a public cloud, private cloud, and then a hybrid cloud. So private cloud is like when you have all of, like you have the server and everything. Public cloud is like when they have all of it. And a hybrid is kind of like you have some, they have some, just kind of like a split between the two. And then, yeah, so then it goes through expenses and talks about how it's like a pay-as-you-go, and then, yeah, then there's these terms that are IaaS is infrastructure as a service, PaaS, platform as a service, and SaaS, software as a service. And then it breaks down how they go. So IaaS is server and storage network, firewall security, and data center, physical plant building. So I think, which one is this? So this one's pretty much like you having the physical server. This one's the hybrid model, pretty much, for like where they do some stuff, you do some stuff, and then the AAS, I believe, is, yeah, they take over everything and pretty much do all of the cloud service maintenance and all that kind of stuff for you. It goes over all the advantages and disadvantages and that. And then this is where it breaks it out even further. Where it breaks out on-premise, you have to manage everything, infrastructure as a service, the IaaS. You do, you manage all those things, and then the cloud would manage those things, platform, and then software. Then the green is what you manage, and then the blue is what they manage. Yeah, and once again, another little assessment before you're done. Yeah, so this one goes more in depth into like the management group, subscriptions, resources. It breaks down all the management things and shows you how like everything is like they have different regions and that kind of stuff. So like uh, their data centers aren't all in one location. So if like something were to happen to one of them, they'd be backed up to another one. Yep, so then it breaks down all that kind of stuff in this section really nicely. And then it breaks down the resource groups, all the resources go in the resource group. Breaks down the management system of how that works. I'm not going to go into that. Well, I could. Yeah, so PowerShell and the command line interface all link into the SDK. The SDK all kind of links up with the Azure portal and clients, and then from that they go into the resource manager and then into your different resources. So there's kind of various different ways that you can get into it pretty much. Yep, so you have your Azure account and then you have your different subscriptions. There's dev, test, and production subscriptions, and I think you can kind of title this however you want, I guess. Yep, so, okay, yeah, here's a better example. So there's a main billing account, and it breaks down into two billing profiles. Each of those are going to have an invoice and payment methods. Then your invoice breaks into invoice sections, and then your subscriptions go out of that invoice. And then there's management groups, and breaks it down how the subscriptions work. So if you're main, if you could break it down into even more and more, just kind of what you want, I think. Yep, and then again, and then knowledge check before you finish. And that's pretty much it in part one. It's not too big, it's just kind of some basic things. You don't get into too much really quickly, especially not in part one, but in part two you get to do a couple of other things. Yeah, so it breaks down what compute services are and all that kind of stuff. So like different things that you'd have, so like do virtual machines and like how much power you want those to have. So like it's pretty much just like a computer, but they run it. So it's just a server pretty much, like an off-base server. Yeah, and then it shows how different things would work with like apps, websites, and all that kind of stuff. And once again, it links into how it's the kind of pay-as-you-go method. So like you don't pay for everything; you just kind of pay as their use. So like if you have a website and you only use it once, and there's only one person that goes into it, you're only charged for the resources that it takes to open that website once, and do whatever they do in that website. You're not charged a set amount or I don't know. Yeah, so it's just kind of like a pay-as-you-go method, and like however much you can use. Yeah, so that it breaks down, and then more different things. Pretty much just more basic concepts. Yeah, so this breaks down to virtual networking, so like VPNs and all that kind of stuff. So like, yeah, so like you can connect to virtual networks to everything, and then it shows you like how peering works. So like you can take like one category and kind of like look into another and that kind of stuff. It's hard to explain without physically going through what they put out. So that walks through like IP addresses and that kind of stuff. And this is what's getting pretty close into entering the SQL Database app thing. Yeah, so it just kind of shows you how VPNs and on-premise things work and all that kind of stuff, and just how they interact, and like how you can have different ones and that kind of stuff, different setups. Yeah, so here's a good one. So like You can have an Azure one and an on-premise, and they all just kind of communicate. So like if one fails, then a different one kicks in or something like that. Yeah, so then it shows how everything kind of like interlinks and like how you can use your resources with your VPNs. I mean, not VPNs, virtual machines. And another knowledge check. One second. Yeah, so I think this is the last one before you physically get into like a physical lab that you can actually do stuff with. So this pretty much just walks through like accounts and that kind of stuff because you're gonna need it for the next section, and then it runs through storage space. So like how you have like you can like have whatever kind of speed that you want, and then like there's different kinds of like hot, cool, and like one other storage I can't remember. Yeah, so, yeah, here it is, hot, cool, and archive. So, like, these are just different things, like, frequently accessed, um, things that you can need, but you won't necessarily need, so they're kind of like in a more short-term storage. And then your long-term data, like, that isn't accessed very often, but is sometimes accessed, and you're still going to need at some point. So, yeah, this is the last thing that they kind of go over, and then before I get into the first lab. And part 2 is where I finished off. Well, I got a little into part 3, but I won't go into part 3 because I want to finish part 3 before I kind of go into all of that. Yeah, so this is introductions to a couple other services, and then it's going to talk about the SQL Database, which, yep, so this is the first thing. So you click Activate Sandbox, and then I'm going to link another video somewhere on this that I did where I went through creating an SQL database. Yeah, so then there's just a bunch of different setup things that you do. They pretty much walk you through everything, but yeah, so here's like what I was talking about earlier. So like helmet, and then the category is helmets, and then their product name is Sports 100 Helmet Red, so like 100 red helmets or whatever. So just pretty much spread throughout everything. Yeah, so this walks through different kinds, I believe. I don't know, it's been a couple of days since I've been through this. So that goes through different services that you can use for databases and that kind of stuff. Yeah, so that's kind of what I've been working on for the first week or so. Yeah, so then I got a little into part 3. I just haven't done a lot with part 3, so I don't really want to get into that quite yet. Yeah, so for that's it. I'll make sure to link the video to the SQL database thing. That's it for this video.